we actually got 200 miles. Okay, so if you follow, you get out a few phrases, you can't we just take them up. Okay, so come into here. Or if you like that way too. So as soon as you get out to that first driveway, we've got the bit there, or driveway. Go left and follow it all the way. And there's a big roundabout, and then right. Left and right. That's it. Thank you so much. All good. Thank you so much.
I believe, well, I'm not sure the surname, it could be Vedam. This service, it's in this cabinet. Yeah, thank you. That's okay, no problem. Excuse me. Kodi tu ada juga. Dari HP beli. Kami pun.
No, that's one. Rama and Ima.
Pavitro Pavitram Pavitrer Sastran Kibon Sehe Peshvaya Namaham Om Madhvaya Namaham Om Narayanaya Namaham Govindaya Namah. Three times. After that worship. Soham pracharam vinyogam witnessing my parents in the place this on the chest. You take this. Place that on the chest. Keep standing on your chest and you finish the mantra. Yes, we can do it. हरि ओम विष्णु 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 ब्रह्मणे गिरिते परदेशीश्वर बाराही कल्पे हे विमंसे हे अस्ताविस्तांगे तमे कवि के कवि कथम चरणे ऐश्वर्य दीपे प्रशांत महासागरे अमुक स्थाने रूप स्थाने अमुक ग्रामे निसत्व ग्रामे दीपे ऐश्वर्य महाद्वीपे हे अमुक मासे हे वैशाख मासे कृष्ण पक्षे अमावस्या तिथो वासरे हे मंगलवासरे हे अमुक गोत्र श्री कौशिक गोत्रमहं अमुक प्रेतस्य हे बुद्धिदारानं श्री अमृतः लक्ष्मी ओम श्री राम अदलबाली योमा वेदम यम सिंहनामस्य श्री कौशिक गोत्र समुख प्रेतस्य नाम से श्री स्वाति श्री रामस्वामी शास्त्री वेदम नामस्य मुख प्रेतस्य निर्वक्ति उत्तम लोक प्राप्ति नैतिक कर्म करीशे हरि ओम Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Rama Adivarium Kumarilam Vimasinam Siddhokraha Sri Kaushika Goprisam Kuprita Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Nam Siddhokraha Sri Kaushika Goprisam Vedam Dvarebe Desh Pinde Stani Mattvane Nichutane Nistam Goprisam नाम से होता लक्ष्मी वेदम रामा बालुमा विनाम निवासी नाम से गोत्र कौशिक गोत्र से अमुक प्रेतक रामस्वामी शास्त्री वेदम नाम से प्रेत द्वार देश पांत निमित विष्णु देवतायाम विशद पिंडों में अभिष्टम प्रतिष्ठिताहम अकलुक गोत्र से होता लक्ष्मी वेदम रामा बालुमा विनाम निवासी नाम से प्रेतक कौशिक गोत्र से रामस्वामी शास्त्री नाम से प्रेत पांत निमित विष्णु Lक्ष्मी Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Namaste Koshikodra Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Namaste Preta Vishwami Bhut Nam Pind Astane Nitakamaya Vitam Topatis Tataham. Akam Gotra Se Namaste Amruta Lakshmi Vedam Rama Adalpali Rumahan Vedam Yom Sihima Singh Namaste Gotra Kaushika Gotra Se Amut Predatman Vid Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Namaste Preta Vishanti Bhut Nam Rudra Devtayam Yachita Pindamaya Vistam Patistata Vetayatam Devam Patistata Kamiku Gotra Senana Amrita Lakshmi Vedam Rama Radhupali Rama Uma Vedam Hima Sri Namaste Kaushika Gotra Senana Preta Sri Namaste Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Preta Vishanti Bhut Nam Pinda Pari Paramanta Vichatamaya Vistam Patistata. Gotra Se Namaste Shri Amrita Lakshmi Vedam Rama Adalpali Uma Vedam Yom Hima Singh Namaste Gotra Kaushika Gotra Se Amrita Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Namaste Preta Shitayam Sadhak Nam Pind Sthavane Nichatamaya Distam Pratistham. Gotra Se Namaste Amrita Lakshmi Vedam Rama Adalpali Uma Vedam Hima Singh Namaste Gotra Sri Gotra Se Namaste Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Namaste Kaushika Gotra Se Amrita Preta Shitayam Sadhak Pari Pari Vistam Patisthatam Ganga Gorsari Tasmi Ramaswami Sastry Namaste. Tilgalyam Dimham Gajam Tasmi Sudhanama Tasmi Sudhanamam Tasmi Sudhanamam.
That's okay. That's good. And then you put this on his head too. You just touch this and put that on his head. Just touch it and put it on his head. Really?
Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Namaste. Om Gangada Sri Sudhanama Chandram Dukadam Sultikar Dukadam
And then put the leaf on his mouth. Ajay, there's one other thing. It's hard for you to put your side of the Okay, that's mine. But you know, you do it twice. And then you put it up in the ceiling. Just put them. Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Shri Pushpanjali Pushpamalam Pustatam. Namaste Amrita Lakshmi Vedam Yom Sri Rama Darbar Uma Vedam Yom Himansi Namaste Kaushika Gotra Maha Pretatma Namita Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Namaste Tilgalyandi Vandhyadini Sikandini Vekravinitani Pushpanjali Pushpam Yom Pushpamalam Puntapistatam. Dev
Shantu Chakra Gadadhara Chirupundari Kancham Shretamoshodhado Bhava Vatsi Punye Sankasham Pituba Samayukam Bhadamatem Govindanathisham Vigatam Bhayam Krishna Krishna Kipadu Sargatiyaham Sansar Marananam Prasita Purushotamaha Narayana Surasheshta Lakshmi Kantam Varvadena Nena Tarpena Neopreto Moksho Prado Bhava Hiranagarabhapurasya Vektam Swaropinamasya Pretaise Pretasya Muchati Putri Sarvada Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhina Pusti Vardhanam Nurvarukamiva Vandanaragatyaramuktiya Mādhikāro Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhina Pusti Vardhanam Nurvarukamiva Vandanaragatyaramuktiya Mādhikāro Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhina Pusti Vardhanam Nurvarukamiva Vandanaragatyaramuktiya Mādhikāro Namami Shamishana Nirvana Rupam Vipamyapakam Brahma Veda Sarupam Nijanirgunam Nirvikalpam Niriham Chirakasha Makasha Vasam Tadevam Nirakala Mokala Mulam Turiham Girajana Goti Tamisham Girisham Karala Mahakala Salam Kirpalam Nagar Sansar Paramnago Tusharadri Sankasha Garam Gambhiram Manubhuta Koti Bhashri Shariram Saporanna Moli Kalolina Charur Ganga Satbhala Bhalendu Kante Chalat Kundalam Bhushunetram Vishalam Sasanam Nadigaram Jayalam Mrigadi Chachamanam Mundamalam Priya Shankaram Sarvanamatam Bhajami Rachanda Prakashtam Pardeham Parishama Khandam Reshula Nirmula Sulpaniyam Bhajeham Bhavani Pativa Vrisam Kalatintra Kalyana Kalpantakari Sarasajnananda Rasa Purani Irananda Sandoha Moha Bhavani Prasita Prabhu Manulari Nayavadu Madhatu Paravindam Hajeti Aloke Parivanarari Natatva Sukham Santi Santa Paramsham Prasita Prabhu Sarva Bhuta Divasham Najanami Yogam Jape Deva Pujam Natoham Sada Sarvada Shambhutujam Jara Janma Dukhe Tapaymanam Prabhu Pani Abramami Shambhu Rudrastamrika Prokta Viprema Toshe Yapatam Janaram Bhakam Desham Shambhu Prasidha. We will now hear one of the usages from the Grand Office for Sriman Ramaswami Sastry Vedam with the funeral rites, the main offerings of 5 pin. We believe our bodies made out of 5 elements and 5 water, ethos, skies, fire, and earth. And upon the cremation ceremony today, the body will go back to 4 of those 5 places. So we cremated on earth, given to Lord of fire, which is the ethos and then the skies. And when we collect the ashes in days to come, then it goes back to the 5th place it has come from. And we, according to Bhagavad Gita and the Quran, we believe the soul and the body, once they're separated, the soul stays around the body and around the family and friends for good 30 days. When the final offerings of king is done, we call it Sapindikriya, then the soul is given a new body and it starts ascending from here to God's kingdom. It takes a full year for the body to reach, for the soul to reach God's kingdom, upon which God's decide whether the person should be given moksha or goes to heaven or being reborn, or one of those many possibilities that can happen to anyone who goes to the same path. I invite the Brenda to say a few words in behalf of the before we do the Shanti Path.
I'm here to talk to you today about the life of my grandfather, Dada, Ramaswami Sastry Vedam. Dada was born on July 1st, 1932 in the small town of ROCKWOOD, Andhra Pradesh, in India. He was the fourth of 7 children. At 14, he left home to go to Loyola College in Chennai to continue his schooling. After that, he studied electrical engineering in Anantapur Engineering College, graduating in 1953. Straight after, he received a job at the Andhra Electricity Department, where he spent time in multiple cities working as an assistant electrical engineer. This is where he met his friend V.G.K. Murthy, who told us that the sterling qualities of your grandfather, intelligence and hard work, frankness and craving for perfection, are never far from my mind, even at this distance of time. He then decided to do a master's at Banaras University, now in Varanasi. My grandmother said that he was a constant scholar and wanted to spend more time studying and take a break from working. This is where he met his friend Sarma Murakutla, who described him as an absolute gentleman and a dear friend. He married my grandmother, Amma, on June 8, 1957, in Alur. She told me that everyone had the flu at the time and they couldn't even eat any food at their own wedding. In September 1963, my grandfather took a boat, because he couldn't afford a plane ticket in those times, to England. The boat stopped in Egypt, where he even saw the pyramids. He had received a scholarship to the University of Liverpool to do a PhD at the suggestion of his good friend D. Redden, who he knew through his days at Loyola College and who he tutored in learning Telugu. He described Tharpa as a gifted mathematician, a brilliant engineer, an outstanding Telugu poet, and his mentor. My grandmother joined him in the UK in June 1962. Father had already been there for 2 years by himself, and he didn't want to stay alone any longer. He had been living in a hostel, eating curried vegetables and rice every night for dinner, and a cheese sandwich for lunch. This was the first time he had had cheese in his life, and it was instant love. From a conference presentation, he acquired a job in London while still studying for his PhD, and while my grandmother was 7 months pregnant with my mum. After graduating from his PhD, he worked at the United Power Company in London for about a year. From there, he received another job offer as an assistant professor in IIT Kanpur back in India, where they went back in August 1964. He worked there for 7 years, and it was where my 2 aunts were born, Uma Pini in 1966 and Hima Pini in 1971. His colleagues described him well. Vaidi Rajaraman said Dr. Sastry was one of my gentlest colleagues at Kanpur with a subtle sense of humour. We have lost a great soul. Chinna Manu Rajamani Undakrishnan said, he helped me progress my project thesis work. I recollect he was very thorough and pleasant in helping me. After some years, I had moved to IIT Madras as a faculty. While on a visit to India, Professor Sastry came to IIT one afternoon to meet me. I was in the class teaching at the time, and I came out and said hello to him. I was overwhelmed by the nice gesture from a senior and felt elated with his courtesy and kindness. In 1972, he received an offer to be a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Sydney, and the family made the big move to come to Australia. He came with the intention of staying for 3 years and heading back to India. However, after 1 year, he received another job offer as a senior lecturer at the Bendigo College of Advanced Education, where he would teach electrical engineering. As the kids were settled, they decided to stay in Australia. He went on to work briefly in Melbourne before moving to Brisbane in 1981 to take a job at Powerlink. He worked there until 1997, which was when he retired. I remember going with my grandmother to help him bring back all of his boxes when I was 4 from his office. Brisbane is where Tharpa lived for the longest time and where I was born in 1993. Brisbane is where many of my fondest memories are. Tharpa's colleagues, firstly Tim George, described him as one of the kindest, gentlest people I have met in my career. He taught me a great deal not only about engineering, but also about composure and civility, a truly good person. His other colleague, Peter Mangan, said, I worked with your father for a short period of time as a young engineer, and I quickly appreciated that academically he was in a higher league than I would ever find myself. However, he did not seem to hold this against me, and always filled me with a sense of value, with the genuine enthusiasm and delight he displayed whenever we encountered each other. Such warmth is not common, and it was an attribute that set your father apart and contributed to his uniqueness. I have a copy of his book currently on my desk to remind me of these encounters and the man that brought the pleasantness to them. This shows that Father was not idle for long. He spent his retirement writing a book, Power Quality, VAR Compensation in Power Systems, with his friend Sarah Mahula. He published it in 2008 and still talked about writing another book until recently. He had done lots of research on climate change, his latest passion project, and was very interested in the future of energy and climate science. He moved to Sydney permanently in 2011 to help with looking after my cousins, his second two grandchildren, Priya born in 2008 and Ajay born in 2011. It was not a small move and meant uprooting life in Brisbane where the family had spent the past 30 years, but they all did it. Father was an important part of my life, along with the rest of my family. He was always there, reminding me to do my homework, or learn maths with him, or read War and Peace, or even making sure I don't drive in the dark when driving back to Canberra. I spent every school holidays and every day after school until I was in grade 9 at Amma and Father's before Amma came home from work. When Amma and Amma were working, it was Father and Mummy who looked after me on school holidays and when I was sick. Father was like a father to me. He tutored me for school and came to all of my important life events, right up to my admission to the Supreme Court last year. No event will be the same now that he won't be there, and I will always remember his presence. He was a profound influence on my life, sharing his love of learning and reading. He didn't stop learning until the very end, even asking me to help him load open university courses in computer science on his iPad while he was in hospital. I hope I can continue that tradition of constant learning and endless curiosity throughout my life and in his honour. I know the rest of my family will carry on many of his characteristics in his name as well. Amma with her ability to talk to anyone, Himapini with her strong work ethic and ambition, Umapini with her methodical approach to keeping track of where things need to be, Priya with her love of learning and excellent math skills, and Ajay who is just like him both in looks and in personality in so many ways. We will miss him.
I really can't believe that I'm standing here today saying this speech. I thought that my father would live forever. I never ever thought that he would die. I know it sounds very silly, but that's the realism. My thoughts about my father, his family, learning, and his moral values were very important to him. He was very committed to us kids, especially in regards to schooling. There never was a thought about leaving school or not going to university. He always thought school, university was fun. He actually did a lot, as Mana said, climate change courses recently in his retirement since he loved learning so much. He never wanted us to miss school or university even when we were sick, since he thought learning was just so important. Even when we started work, he always told us to work very hard and do the best we could and never, skip work for no reason or take a sickie or anything like that. He was very, very principled in that matter. On a personal front, as Mama said, he supported me a lot when my marriage broke up. And he told me that the time is the only healer, and how true it was. He was actually responsible for me leaving the house after a year during that time by promising me that no one would ever ask me anything. I think that he must have talked to many people to ask them not to ask me anything. As Mama said, in her eulogy, he took the role of the father figure in her life, which I am very grateful for. I'm also grateful for him
to teach the correct values of life. He was very frank and would always tell me right from wrong. At the time it was very annoying, but now I see how important that was. He was very particular about keeping in touch with family and friends. And I have inherited that about remembering dates. For the past 10 years, I used to get up every morning and email or text him about whose birthday was, whose anniversary it was to wish them. And time was very important to him. I had many arguments with him about this, since in the Indian circles they always expected you a bit late. But when someone said 7 o'clock, he wanted to be there at 7 o'clock. And his hospitality was always up. If someone came to the house, it was very important to have something to eat or drink. Otherwise, it just was not comfortable. Ever since his fall in January, we had tremendous support from extended family in America and in India. It really brought us together and even closer. And also a lot of the support from Brisbane friends, a place where he has lived a long time. And I'll read you a couple of quotes that I've got from from one particularly from Prakash Uncle. He said, he made a special place in all our hearts and will always be remembered for his wit, scholarship, broad-mindedness and jovial nature. And then the next one is from Daniel Uncle. He said, I cannot express the feelings I have for Auntie and Mum and Dad have been very close friends of ours since a long time, as we were very few Telugu families in Australia. We now enjoy their friendship and wonderful hospitality. Both Auntie and I admired the way in which your parents handled difficult times in their life. We fondly remember how Dad used to console us in our difficult times. That shows his love and compassion towards us. I always admired Dad's depth of Telugu literature. He was full of genuine love and wonderful hospitality. Though I do not know much detail about his work, I know he made his mark in the profession he was in. Your beloved father has been a gentleman to be admired. I always had a high regard for him. It is a great loss for the Telugu community in Australia, as he was the second Telugu gentleman to step on the shores of Australia. Finally, towards the end of his life, when he knew that the pneumonia had got him, he said he had a good life and had achieved everything he wanted. To reach that peace is pretty good, and I think that says a lot about him. May I rest in peace. As I say my final farewell to my dad, I just want to reflect on a couple of qualities that will stand out. His love of learning, as everyone has outlined, his tenacity and resilience to achieve his goals, which I think some of us have inherited, and his amazing commitment to his family, which is not like that, but 10 years ago they uprooted and moved to help us raise our family. He was actually 79 at the time he did this, and I think it just reflects just how much his family did mean to him. In his later life, I also noticed how much he enjoyed his grandchildren, how much he enjoyed listening to Mother talk and how proud he was of her achievements, how much he enjoyed carrying her as a baby, and in fact when he had his bypass, when she was a young baby, one of his many questions was, how long is it before I can hold the baby again, in terms of how much he could carry. And I'll never ever forget the first time we saw Jay's face after his fall recently on FaceTime. His entire face lit up. It was then I understood the amazing bond he had with his grandchildren. I'd like to think that we will all keep the values that he instilled in us and help to nurture them and follow them through to the generations that come from us. I'd like to think that we'll all remember my father, who was the pioneer of the Australian part of our family.
Om Maradinidano Devo Shankar Chakra Gada Cheja Kundari Kancham Breta Mokshapado Bhavam Yadanagarpa Krishna Krishna Kapal Sarvatyam Sansar Viran Prasida Purushotama Narayan Surasheshta Lakshmi Kantam Kamaranayanam Yogi Virdyanam Yam. Leave it there. One of you else can hold it. I think do the final pranam and then you close the. Please want to have a final view? Final view before we close the question? Hari Om Gotra Nam Sarvata Lakshmi Om Sri Roshika Gotra Sami Vedatmanim Ramaswami Vedam Namaste Devashtaham Jaljan Dehi Vyaham Katyam Vayo Vidishikayo Divyam Dhanarichikayo Dham Priyu Swasti Pradeshasanto Mayam Chantakaram Bhujaguchayanam Padmanabham Sureshwaram Vishwahidaram Gagan Sadarsham Ekvarnam Shubhaganam Lakshmikantam Kamaranayanam Yogi Virdyanam Vande Vishnu Bhavayharanam Sarvalokekanathanam Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanurmardanam Devaki Karmanandam Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Om Anadinidno Deva Shankar Chakra Gada Cheja Kundari Ancham Preta Moksha. Can you help? You can be here. Place it inside before you place. You want to place it inside before you close? Narayanaya Namaham Rishikeshaya Namam Govindaya Vinamam Madhvaya Namaham Samilayam Rushayam Lukumalam Dasamarupitu Dasamarupitu Lanu Mahasaya Picharuja Punamami Ramam Raghuvanshanatanam Avadam Dataram Sarusampadam Lokavikam Sri Ram Diyo Diyo Ramaya Ramaya Ramachandraya Vetse Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Kute Namaha. Request everyone to please stand for the final praise. Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, Puri, Dwaravati, Ge, Saptate, Mokshadayaka, Ganga, Gangeti, Gruhat, Yojana, Ram, Saterpe, Muchate, Sarva, Papyam, Yogishnu, Lok, Sagachati, Namastubhyam, Dharam Rajayam, Vittam, Vivite, Vimuktem, Same, Prita, Shubha, Dadya, Samloke, Pariyatacha, Akamakupotra, Senamasa, Amrita, Lakshmi, Vedam, Yom Rama, Dulpali, Uma Vedam Yam Hima Signamasi Putra Kaushika Gotra Se Swati Nachatra Vetatma Nimitata Namaste Ramaswami Sastry Vedam Namaste Taha Sanskar Antim Vidihi Pujanah Taham Karishe Om Hari Om Adinidanadev Shankar Chakra Gada Cheja Kundari Kancham Breta Mokshapado Bhava Atsi Punya Sankasham Petavas Samayutam Yajnamistem Govindam Devisham Adesham Vikatam Bhayam Krishna Krishna Kripalo Sarvatavam Nignanam Nirabhavam Sansar Varnanam Nignanam Prasida Purushottamam Narayana Surasheshta Lakshmi Kantam Arpadena Nena Tarapena Neopretu Mokshaprado Bhava Yeranagarva Purashe Vektam Sarupinam Asya Pretasya Mojarta Supretu Bhava Sarvata शान्तिरोषधयः शान्ति वनस्पतयः शान्ति विश्वदेवा शान्ति ब्रह्मा शान्ति सर्वगुण शान्ति शान्तिरेव शान्ति शामः शान्तिरेधिः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति.
Please follow the family out. Let them wait.
No, that's okay. I'll just before I finish.